All right, everybody, welcome to round number 8 out of 9 here. So really crunching it down to the end. And we got two players here. Bottom player on 4-color Omnath, and then Jeskai Prowess up top. So really cool, interesting decks here, Anurag.
Yeah, decks we haven't seen before. We did see Batatina on a 4-color Omnath variation, but this one seems closer, maybe similar, different. I can't really tell because one card that I'm seeing here that is kind of a relic of the past, Abundant Growth in the Omnath deck, pairing it alongside Arisen Reef, Prismatic Ending, and a couple lands here. So talk to me about maybe a little bit of your understanding of the Omnath deck, where we are post Yorion ban, because I have some thoughts.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten a lot worse. You don't have that really overarching plan. You know, you play these 60 card decks, but your deck kind of wants to be playing more. It doesn't seem amazing to me, but these style of Omnath decks have always been pretty good against Murktide. So you probably take advantage of those decks, but these hyper aggressive decks like we're about to see, I don't think it seems amazing against. But with a one land hand, it doesn't seem going to be too crazy hard to beat. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as you. I feel like these prowess decks, they really do put the pedal to the metal. They're not trying to really generate, too much card advantage through expressive iteration and things like that. Though it is in the deck, because you can see 2 lava darts, the unholy heat, another swift spear, and the expressive iteration all there. But overall, I feel like this deck has a much better chance of running over the clunky 4-color, 5-color control deck that is stumbling to sort of put itself together here. Notably, though, we do see Ephemerate in the list, which might mean actually that's interesting because that's a regular planes, right?
Yes,
Okay, yeah.
yes, it is. Yeah. So no snow, so no quaddles kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have Elesh Norn in hand, though, our favorite card we were chatting about a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I'm actually beyond excited to see how this card works out. So you can see Elesh Norn 4 and a white for a Phyrexian Praetor. Vigilance, it's a 4/7. Those are maybe the most important stats on it. And then additionally, permanents for the opponents don't cause ETBs when entering the battlefield, and yours double. So it really is kind of powerful in this deck that is, as you can see, leveraging Abundant Growth, leveraging Risen Reef, Omnath. These are all really, really sweet cards. Speaking of Omnath, great top deck right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Omnath, great. Second Risen Reef to get a ton of value here, plus Ephemerate. You got to think that this 4-color Omnath deck might be delivering a beatdown right now, as this looks like an absurd amount of value next turn.
Oh, yeah. And all the while, looks like we're still stuck on that one land here, unfortunately, for the Jeskai Prowess deck. So not too much of a gain here, but we do see some interesting top decks in Underworld Breach. That seems like a new addition to these Prowess decks. Corey, have you seen this before?
Yeah, I've seen a few. They do play 2, sometimes 3, and it is just that way to trigger Prowess 2 or 3 times. Like most of the time, you're breaching, you're bringing back a couple baubles, and while that is pretty good, it's just okay. But when you're breaching and you're bringing back a couple baubles and you have 2 Prowess creatures, all of a sudden your opponent is dead.
Yeah, now this is fascinating. I think I just blinked and I missed it, but those Risen Reefs are gone.
Yep, gone. They actually blocked, I believe, which doesn't seem like the best use of blocking with that, but we'll see. It looks like Elesh Norn might just come to play and say good luck.
I'm so ready. My body is so ready.
I love it. We'll see if there is a land. Wow, another brick on the land. Had it dealt with if they drew a land with just Unholy Heat plus Lava Dart, but now is going to have to hope it tussles in combat to be able to deal with it here. Have a nice little, I suppose you can Mutagenic Growth, which Mutagenic Growth I think is excellent right now. Plus Unholy Heat, and that would get up to 3, 4, 5, 6 toughness. Yeah, so you get to keep around your Swift Spear here.
Wow.
Or not.
Okay, all right. I was gonna say, yeah, that's really interesting, but
yeah,
just killing the Elesh Norn there is kind of crazy.
Okay. So see Omnath and the way that our player on the bottom has been sequencing here is able to sack this Flooded Strand to actually trigger this and then really go nuts. Wow, this all right, well, what do I know? I guess you could have did that plus Risen Reef plus all kinds of stuff, but hey, that's why I'm commentating, and this player is down here at X and 1 crushing it.
I just want to let you go, Corey, on a roll. Just see how many plays you
I could
say
get
and
wrong
or
there.
make.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Yeah,
They're
like
trying to prove me wrong.
at what point will you get it right? This is a
Yeah.
damning attack, right? Like there's no way
Yeah,
this
tough to
doesn't
block
telegraph everything.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, with mutagenic growth. And yeah, man, mutagenic growth just seems awesome right now.
But now I suspect getting to untap with Omnath, drawing Teferi, you got Risen Reef in hand, also an Eladamri's call. It should be close to lights out, if anything else, right?
Yeah, really should be. See that. It's going to be great. Up to 20 here. Omnath's able to do some work. And, there's not that Yorian over the top thing, why you hold around to abundant growth and stuff. So having fetch lands and cracking them and just activating Omnath still seems like the thing you want to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a stretch. The most I can think of is maybe draw like a second copy of Elish Norn if it's in the deck. Unlikely. Plates of Fairy. Unlikely. Bounce the Abundant Growth. Draw 2 cards. Also unlikely. So we're going to see just going through the motions here. Eladamri's call in the stack to fetch one of many, many, many targets. And that's going to be where we throw the towel in for the Raise of Prowess side.
Yeah, and absolutely. Our Jeskai Prowess player just got horrifically unlucky. Just kept to one lander with a bobble. Totally reasonable. It's even a fetch land. And just drew like 8 cards without a land. So, I mean, that was just a extremely bad luck on our opponent there.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, it is also a little bit like by design, because when you think about these prowess decks, right, they're really low to the ground.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, you don't play a ton of lands. You should be able to draw a couple more than that. Yeah, looking at the lands, 18. 18 with a bunch of bobbles. You have light up the stages, all that kind of stuff. So that is a lower amount than most decks, but still pretty unlucky.
Yeah, fair enough. I totally feel you on that. So now let's talk about sideboarding a little bit. We'll start with maybe the Jeskai Prowess side of things. Are there any cards that you are personally interested in going into the first post board game?
All right, let's take a peek. Jeskai Prowess. So we have some Path to Exiles in the board, which will be pretty strong against Omnath to be able to deal with that. And then outside of that, Prismatic Ending, no. 4 Spell Pierce, nope. 4 Wear Tear. Wow. Just really saying, yeah, this is the best card. I want to be drawing that against certain matchups. Not going to see that here either. So just 2 Path is kind of all I would expect from Jeskai Breach or Jeskai Prowess here.
Okay. And then for the 4-color side of things, I'm seeing some Besejus, a Giant Killer, Hallowed Moonlight, Kataki, Chalice of the Void, Magus of the Moon, Endurance, Force of Vigor, Kozilek, Orvar. Any of these sound interesting to you?
Let's see. Endurance sounds decent. Chalice of the Void for sure. That's going to be excellent on 1. Really tough card to deal with. So now that we see Chalices, I would actually probably be considering Wear Tears a lot more. Because you can't get Chalice. That's way too bad. So we might actually see some Wear Tears come in as well, just to counteract that card. Maybe only on the draw though, because on the play you just want to do this. Cast Swift Spear into another Swift Spear and removal spell, and that ends up being really, really powerful here.
Yeah, this is a very aggressive start. Double Swift Spear, Dragon's Rage Channeler, ×2 as well. A lot of creatures that'll go on the board here. On the other side, looking at a mulligan to 6, and we have double Leyline Binding, Ephemerate, Omnath, and 2 lands. And these Leyline Bindings, Corey, they don't look so good.
No, they do not. Misty is able to find some Triome, and that is pretty solid. Now, Leyline Binding with Abundant Growth is quite the combo, if I'm remembering that right. I believe that turns it into all type. Oh, no, it doesn't. Enchanted Land has add 1 mana of any color to your pool, but that doesn't change all the types, So I don't think that works with Leyline's Binding. I could be wrong here, though.
I think you're correct, actually. I think, yeah. So these Leyline Bindings look especially mediocre. And on the other side of the table, we're just going to see now first Monastery Swifter comes into play. Both turning sideways, and that's the name of the game here. Kill you dead before you get to do anything. And based on the hands that we're seeing right now, I think it's very likely to happen.
Agreed. Yeah, one thing we'll see that works with Leyline's Binding in a better way is Nylea's Present from Pioneer. You see it in that Enigmatic Fires deck. That works the way you want it with Leyline Binding, since it turns it into all the types. But Abundant Growth doesn't exactly work out in that way. So yeah, gonna be pretty troublesome now. But with that being said, this Misty Rainforest can try to get all the types other than Island, then play an Island and Leyline's Binding for 2. It's probably the best play you got.
Yeah, I would be a little bit surprised if there was like a non-blue Triumph in this deck. In fact, I'll just do a little bit of research here. It would have to
Yeah,
be. Oh no, okay, there isn't.
Indathi, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Indathi looks like the only one. Which, I mean, yeah, just sometimes when you need these kind of types, but most of the time you can start with like Rogran Triumph and then go find a forest. That's
Hmm.
another good way of being able to cast Leyline's Binding for 2.
All right, so in for 2 damage here. Most likely going to follow up with a third creature in the second Dragon's Rage Channeler, and that is a pretty intimidating board state. If you're sitting across with a hand of Omnath and a couple Leyline bindings. So I mean, the average CMC of the other hand is like what, 3-4?
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
All right, so Misty Rainforest is going to fetch on the end step, pick up an Indatha Triumph. What's the top deck? It's got to be
I
good.
was
And
just
it's a
gonna say, Solitude was the best possible draw here with that Ephemerate. Able to clean up 2 creatures and eat a removal spell because so your third one doesn't get eaten up. That was probably the only draw right now that leaves our bottom player in this. What a top deck.
so okay. We can see one Dragon's Rage Channeler being targeted here. What do you target with the second Solitude here?
Probably the Swift Spear, but it's close because Channeler does make the draws a little bit more absurd, but probably the Swift Spear. But I think either one of them is fine. You're going to try to hit the other one during your next upkeep and hope for the best. What a draw,
Yep.
though. What a draw.
Yeah, right. Like what seemed like an unwinnable game or a game that would have been extremely dicey has now completely just flipped on its 180 and is now like maybe an unlosable game almost. I mean, we still need some lands to cast the Omnath though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it needs a bunch of lands. That is the tough part is without Risen Reef and without, pitching these elementals while Risen Reef is in play, you just don't have the same kind of value engine.
Right.
But still a very solid turn here, being able to go Swift Spear plus Unholy Heat this, get it out of there, play Soul Scour Mage. Still just a great draw with all creatures here. Now, any spells off the top are just going to be game breakers.
Yeah, and Fiery Islet also can cycle to draw more cards. So somehow, despite getting what is arguably the best draw in the deck,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a draw to keep them in it, that was
Yeah.
much needed. And at least you have one Leyline's Binding here with one of these creatures. Play Besage and hope for the best.
Yep. All right.
Man, I do miss playing with Omnath. I really do, but yeah, it doesn't seem great all the time there. And there is a big reason to be dealing with all those DRCs, Breach, not great right now, and in fact, it looks terrible right now, but with a couple DRCs, it definitely looks a lot closer to really good.
Yeah, imagine if instead you had gone for the Monastery Swift Spear or something like that, then the Underworld Breach would have just been pretty terrifying, like off the back of like a mutagenic growth or like, I don't know, gut shot, lava dart, whatever it is that you'd be flashing back, buying back.
All right, big draw step here to be able to find a red land for Omnath. Ooh, Endurance not bad at all either. Good way to counteract that Breach in hand as well as get a blocker in.
Yep. Land, Endurance, both are pretty good draws here. In fact, I feel like maybe this is just me, but this is when you're playing against Control, do you ever find that your opponent just like draws the best cards every turn, like right when you're at the cusp of winning?
Oh, every game. Every single game. Yeah, absolutely. Still looking solid for a Jeskai Prowess player, but and yeah, Prismatic Ending, a terrible draw here. It's great against these hate cards, if like we see that more than likely being brought in response to Chalice, something like that. But when you draw it on this board where you're never touching Leyline's Binding with it, you have to get lucky to hit Omnath. You gotta, I guess, get a treasure, which I don't even think is possible in this list. That card can look really bad where all you need is one Lava Dart here to really close it out.
And so just to clarify, both players are 6-1 going into this round. So this round does have very, very
this is very likely a win and in. Absolutely.
Exactly. Real ramifications for making the top 8 here. So
100%. Yeah, it looks like this is just a breach, just for no value, except for a prowess trigger.
I love that. Actually, you know what? I mean, that's so jugular, like
yeah, that was
prowess player
nice.
Just exactly, yeah. Prowess player knows exactly what they want.
Decides to endurance now, just in case there is like a mutagenic growth or something. So you don't get a double mutagenic growth or a double bobble or something like that. I'd still like to wait because you can just, endurance in response to one of these 0 drops. And now now you've given away your stance that you have a blocker. So now our Jeskai Prowess player gets to think about it where there's no spell being cast right now. So there's no reason to do this right now. And now you left the choice in the Jeskai Prowess player's hand. It's still attack and everything would be the exact same, but you've given them the option instead of taking that away from them.
Yeah. And looks like they are going to still send in sideways, which makes sense. There's the concept you're talking about right here. I feel like I read this in a very famous PvDDR article.
Okay.
And it was saying the exact same thing. The goal of this game: deny your opponent of options.
Yeah.
Always, always, always.
100%. Now we can see this prismatic ending dealing with another prowess creature. Once again, those creatures are the exact same, except Soulscar Mage has extra text. So another thing where you should always be dealing with the other card, because, well, what if you top deck Lightning Bolt? Lightning Bolt on Endurance now puts 3 -1 counters on it. So definitely want to be hitting the Soulscar Mages before you hit Swift Spears, always.
Yeah, good point.
Just slightly better card.
All right, Mountain is the top deck, 3rd mana source. That's going to be pretty good for this prismatic ending, which will now take care of the Endurance.
Yep, absolutely. Get 2 damage in there.
And from this point, Corey, I got to ask, who is ahead?
I would still say our Jeskai Prowess player just because the life totals, but I mean, this is going to be a big draw step. If there's nothing really there, it's going to be quite brutal. And if Arius is able to find a fetch land on top and gain life off Omnath, that's going to be very tough. But, if it's just 2 expensive cards on top, and our Prowess player top decks a Bolt, that's game. So,
ooh, okay, that's
a 5-drop. That's one of them.
That is a card.
Yeah, I like the Omnath because if you get a land, you basically win the game on the spot. Okay, I mean that is 2 5-drops, which I was saying is exactly what you can't have. But it so happens that they do pair well together.
I swear, this 4-color player is really just out here trying to make you look dumb, Corey.
No, I mean, I literally called this perfectly here, except just my 5-drops happen to do this. And once again, you got a Solitude, so you have to Solitude, or you at least should Solitude before you put the counter on. It's just 1 extra life. So a little bit of minor sequencing problems here from our bottom player. But man, I called that, huh?
Yeah, that's and then the Windswept Heath, and
that is insane. So Heath, you can attack for 4 and then upkeep, sack Heath, put a land into play, tap, gain 7 life. Not bad.
I'm just telling you, Corey, every single turn, perfect after perfect after like after because the opening hand was kind of a disaster, and then you have endurance into solitude into land. Like,
yeah, this player found a way to just top deck, that ephemerate and solitude play just to stay alive. That was like basically if you didn't do that, you're dead. And then yes, exactly, just barely staying alive over the course of the game. Wow, impressive stuff for our Omnath gamer. This deck looks awesome.
I'm gonna be real with you. Yeah. Let them just go to the draw. Yeah, go to the main phase because it doesn't matter. Whatever they draw, play with fire here. You're okay. You're destined to win this game. Like it has just been decided.
Maybe destined to win the tournament at this rate.
Seriously.
Impressive draws here. I would like to see that fetch crack now because if you draw another fetch land, that goes from like still a pretty strong draw to like you want to always just gain 4 life every turn.
Yeah, exactly.
Deck is not really going to beat that if you're able to do that.
And plus, you could like getting a Triumph or something like that. You don't want to draw that kind of thing anyways. So
exactly.
I have a feeling though, because you said that. Yeah, exactly. We're just not going to do it.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
And we get a Ren too, which is just fantastic, by the way.
Gain some more life. Guess you could deal some damage if you want now. Oh, maybe like breach into bolt from the yard. 2 prowess triggers. That's 6. Yeah, this Omnath just pulls so far ahead so quick.
Yeah. Is it actually possible to win this game? Breach? Oh no, you're just going up to 11. Okay.
Yeah, nope, I don't think so. With this, you have to top deck, like, I guess, light up the stage into a plethora of things. So, yeah, really unfortunate. They were so close.
Really? Yeah.
So close.
Do you watch your own feature matches or your matches that are ever on coverage?
Some that are really close where I think I can gain something from it. But, you know, if it's like, I just dominated and stuff, I used to watch them all, you know, at the start of my career because, hey, it's fun to, you know, hear words about you and whatnot. But not as much anymore.
This is one where I would tell
as many feature matches, you know, but yeah.
Yeah. I would tell the prowess player, do not watch this match. It is just this is dark humor at its finest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would tell our Omnath player, hey, watch this match. Maybe you could have saved yourself like 5 life points, you know, maybe did a couple minor things to improve on your game.
Bolt and Spell Pierce are the cards in hand here now for the Jeskai deck.
But
And
man, this Omnath deck is looking awesome. And yeah, maybe there were some minor sequence problems or whatever, but overall, still got the major things right that you needed to do from our Omnath gamer. So props to them. Looking to be in a very potential in the top 8 already, or, you know, for sure winning in next round. So props to Eris.
Very nice here. So swinging in with the Omnath, we drew an Omnath already, so most likely just going to deploy one after the other. Pseudo vigilance, if you will. Oh, and we're getting a lightning bolt out of it too. That's a pretty good exchange.
Yeah, not bad. And you are able to just play the other Omnath here and kind of pull far ahead. Spell Pierce, an interesting one. Very good at that early stage of the game, but once you get to this point, it becomes very difficult.
And this is going to be the Soul Crusher here. Omnath number 2, going to draw Windswept Teeth with Ren and 6 already active, picking up Misty Rainforest. It's ham sandwich time. You could win with whatever you want.
Oh, yeah. And now next turn it is lethal. You're able to attack down to 5, sack 2 fetch lands, play a fetch, sack it, deal 4 to face, and then Ren for that last point of damage. And that's going to be enough. Pull ahead and likely have one of our first members of the top 8. So huge congrats to Eris. That was impressive stuff. Omnath looking pretty sweet, Anurag.
It is a card that I'm not surprised to see. You know, when it first came out, I remember like watching like standard games with like, what was it? It was the Rug Ultimatum. Do you know Emergent Ultimatum or something like that?
And Genesis Ultimatum. Yep.
That's the one. Yeah. And I was watching like Omnath do all sorts of ridiculous things. And then even in modern, you know, where like Lightning Bolt is one of the most powerful cards, Omnath is just literally like, all right, untap with me and I got your back. And I was like, yeah, you do. It's great. So personally,
absolutely do.
I'm a Tundra buddy and I love seeing these control decks make it deep into the tournament. So I'm happy. But, you know, I know the future of Omnath doesn't bode so well, given that I don't know if you saw one of the spoilers, but Omnath does get completed, Phyrexianized or whatever.
No, Omnath too? Everyone's getting completed around here, huh?
Yeah.